And I wanted to speak about the good side of GCSEs. I wanted to talk about why why not to just chuck the whole thing out? Why not to just discard the whole schooling system? And uh, yeah, I mean, often I feel like that's the side I need to emphasize. That is often the side that I'm preaching, is really like less pressure, less exam, just winding the whole thing down. And it can feel like a total collapse. But I often, I wouldn't be in this line of work. I wouldn't be teaching English and maths to GCSE level with the students I'm coaching and mentoring still now, like 20 years after or more than that, probably after I started tutoring initially, if there weren't a huge empowerment there in these studies. So yeah, I wanted to just speak up for that, mostly because at the moment I'm seeing the genuine results of stepping up for this challenge, for using our minds. We don't have to, our education system might be perceived as being terrible by many people in this group, but we're not, we don't want to flip flop from one extreme to another. And there is so much good in the design, I think, of our current system, and so much that's good about this challenge. So when I'm working with someone who's got the options available, perhaps they're a home ed student, or they're considering, parents considering with their children just completely dropping all of this pressure, which can be so pernicious, I think, if that's the right word, just so like harmful and so sort of toxic seeming at a certain point. Sometimes it can feel like, wow, just, I'll do anything to get away from that. Let's just drop the whole thing. And yeah, that was also my starting point with my own children's education. I did have this idea that it would be better to do nothing than to put them in the school. It's quite extreme in a way. I acknowledge that, but my reasons were because of the culture, the pervasive culture, and the way I could see children relating, especially by the time they get to secondary school. To me, that's extremely clear. Like, it takes a very, going into various school campuses, the way we are allowing our children to relate to each other, and the general culture, also including all the influences, the hotbed we surrender our children to when we send them to school. That was one element that I wasn't at all attracted to. And the second element was the manner of teaching, the way of teaching, the telling them what to do, the not giving any choice, the curriculum, they're just kind of marching through the subjects, and the punishment and discipline element of school. So yeah, but in my mind, I really split it in two ways. The culture, just trusting any school's culture. Is it well held enough? Big question for schools, that big challenge for schools. And then just, is the manner of teaching empowering? Is it teaching self-leadership? Is it exciting children so that they come out of school full of their own confidence, potential, having realized their own potential and knowing what they want to do in life? Are we getting those kind of results from the way of educating? The benefits, the many, many benefits of not going to one extreme and dropping everything. And just I've seen with three students this year, who I would describe as reluctant, not a natural fit, not naturally motivated, with my very open, very liberal, very understanding approach, which really demands self-leadership from them. It's an interesting journey, because there isn't naturally a sense of like, immediately, I do actually really want to improve my maths or improve my English, whatever. There isn't that natural sense. But to just decide you're going to liberate your child from those challenges wouldn't have been a good step in any of these cases. So what I see now in these there are three boys actually that I'm specifically thinking of, is a great sense of having realized an essential part of their capacity and their capabilities through confronting an avoidance of maths, or an avoidance of being able to sit down and think, for any subject, an avoidance of being able to just maturely sit down and study, to learn. These are not good things um, to continue to avoid. They're not, just because we feel like we can't do it, we feel like we don't want to do it, we're too jumpy or distracted, or, we think we're not interested enough. We've got a lot of negative rhetoric going on in our minds, or, just a sense of labeling ourselves. I'm not like that. I'm a footballer, or I'm an outdoors kind of person, or I'm a whatever. I'm an entrepreneur, rather than I'm a good academic student. All of that's just pretty much illusory. And I see that often I meet students who are limiting themselves in that way, and also maybe their parents buying into some of that labeling, without wanting to create any harm out of that, but just thinking, yeah, they're not really capable in some way. And so what's been really incredible to see is to see these young adults settling down into this subject and finding, that there aren't very many other good words for it other than love, or something. There's something like love, joy, just like a harmony, a peace, and a wellness within a subject that they were running from, kind of like running scared from in a way. And this is a huge dynamic with GCSEs, and one that inevitably resolves itself once they're over. So one thing that's great is that GCSEs eventually, exam period eventually comes to an end, and whatever you've done, however it's been for you, however much of a mess you've made of it emotionally, or, I've been with students through this period who've been absolutely in pieces. Easter holiday time, the pressure, and then sure enough, life goes on beyond this horrible period, if it is a horrible period for you, for your children, or for them. And you come out of that and you look back on that and go, wow, that was horrible, maybe, but also I made a real meal of that. Like, I'm not going to take anything so like abstract as like needing these grades or whatever, abstract and real. But young people, I've seen them just look back and go, wow, that was totally over the top kind of thing. I fell completely into that pressure and into that cycle of thinking that it was the end of the world. And of course it isn't. So there is a benefit there, although I'd never wish to put someone through that sort of process for that benefit. I think there are many other ways that you can achieve that same result in a more humane way. But yeah, there is, this wish. The wish I have is really for them to be able to not shy away from their true capacity, not to label themselves out of participating with all of it, with any of it, not being afraid. So learning not to be scared, even if it's not a natural fit, it's not an easy ride. Some of my students have kind of cruised in a way. They've kept, they've been sort of cruising into it. They've kept it very, very easy with their workload. They've not freaked out about it. And now, sure enough, the exams are going well. That is a great disposition. If your child is blessed with naturally not being too freaked out about it, that's not a problem. I don't think. I've been through this with a parent and her son as well this year. Is it a problem that he's so relaxed about it, doesn't seem to be, motivated in that way? Well, actually, no, it's proven to be really a great quality for him to survive this year, to put it in a slightly sensational way, but to get through this year in one piece. And now, the exams are coming and he's doing fine. He's doing well. And yeah, seeing that sense of like, I've survived it. Like, I've hung in there. I've done what work I could do, and now things playing out and going well. Like knowing managing that yourself in whichever way. And for him, that was not doing a great deal of revision, um, showing up for time with me, doing, his work at school, and, you know, bringing it all together in his own way like that. And it does look like that's going to be successful for him. So that's great, and this isn't his area of interest anyway. This particular student is going to go on and be a professional goalkeeper, or in the arts world. He's getting a 9 in his art, and he's a brilliant athlete and footballer. So that's where he's going. So you can see it's obviously not a fit with 9 GCSEs of an academic nature, or it isn't for him. So yeah, and what I see for him now, and for these other 3 I'm thinking of, is that he heads out now into the world with a can-do attitude, like a positive self-image as well. Because with him, it was specifically with maths. We just didn't shy away from this subject where things weren't going well. It's always been a challenge. Didn't think he was going to get it, not going to get the grade, not going to get the pass. And we've chipped away at it. We found our peace. We found our maturity and our mojo to just like do that work in a very easygoing, empowering and effective way. So just showing up, that's been, 12 hours of work, or more than that, 24 hours of work, whatever it's been, once a week, twice a week recently. And that's been enough just to drop the resistance to it, and to face it fully, each question, one question at a time with him. And with every student with maths, is what's so beautiful about maths, is that each question is a fresh confrontation in a way. And I work a lot with students about that mindset around how they read a question and don't understand it straight away. Well, that's not the time to panic and bolt for the door. And I mean, I say this with the greatest respect. I know how the mind works. I know how these students work like that from decades of working with young people in this circumstance. So I completely understand it. But I'm coaching them to, just relax after they've read it once and don't really know it. Do whatever it is to just calm themselves down and go, right, let's have another read. Let's read it again. I don't know now, but I don't have to follow the feelings of panic and I'm not good enough, and I knew it was always going to go badly, and I'm a terrible mathematician, or I hate maths, or whatever it might be. All of that's like, whoa, that'll take you down the wormhole. Let's just chill and reread the question and see. Let's read it really slowly, really carefully, and let's see, like, is there anything I can get a handle on here? And to me, this is really one of the principal skills that is missing for so many students. The raw emotion that can come up under this challenge, which is so horrible, is also precisely the gain if you can learn to manage it, and that's so obvious. So that plays out across the whole time frame of, just indulging it so terribly, and then finishing your exams, getting into summer and going, wow, what on earth did I do that for? What did I do that to myself for? And also just right in the moment, like something coming up like that, where you just are terrified of an essay question, and needing to practice in a safe space. And again, I'm not sure many schools are providing that safe space. I don't mean physically, I mean like mentally, emotionally. A safe space where you can practice with your ideas, where you're able to kind of ask questions in class without judgment and, criticism and gossip and blame and whatever. Yeah, I mean, this is another thing that's also been obvious working online this year for many educators, is that, even online, we are struggling to get our young people talking. I think a good measure of a good teacher would be someone who has that safe atmosphere, online or offline, where students are able to speak, they're able to practice. sharing their ideas, asking any questions without fear of being laughed at or anything like that. And that's what I mean about the culture. That's the culture that I don't think we're holding well outside of pockets of um, community, or for us, we have a very empowered community background for our child rearing, and so it would have been a lot for us to sacrifice that and hand our kids over to a lesser culture than that, in a way, just one that just does bring up those difficulties, especially in secondary education. So yeah, creating that safe space is one of the luxuries of the work that I do one-to-one, where we really can just ask all the questions that we want and take the time to settle into addressing those fears, the little fears and the little panics that keep us on the run, when really one or two or three more reads of the question, and having a few other tools as well, like what can I try if it's a maths question, what can I try to unpick this, like what do I know that could relate, or which are the key words here, like what does each piece of the question potentially tell me. And so many ways of hanging in there. Basically, it's just a question of hanging in there. And especially under exam pressure, that is a skill. So that's a skill that comes up. It needs to be like a muscle memory, like a professional sports player. You don't kind of smash the ball in the top corner in the Champions League final, like thinking about it. You've just done it thousands of times in training, and then you just do it and like, whoa, it's happened. So it's the same thing with practicing. Relaxing with a maths question, relaxing with everything that comes up, and seeing, oh wow, I could do that. Like I didn't think I could do it, and then I could, and just chipping away at that, building that confidence that, taking the time, confronting it fully, it is really then going to pay such dividends on the day when you are under pressure, and you have that built up resilience, to look at questions openly and for a period of time before deciding, okay, I do or don't know what to do here. The other great thing about GCSEs, or stepping up for this challenge in some ways, is that you then, I want our students in this transitional period in human history, or in recent educational history, where maybe, the GCSEs are becoming less and less important, or exams are becoming less and less important, and other things will take over. I want all young people to be able to compare themselves well with others. So, one thing that isn't going to be a good step is to educate our children in any way, or choose to educate them in any way, where they feel a bit lesser than everybody else. So whatever it is, it's got to compare well. They've got to come out of education, whatever that is for you, with a sense of like, I am with that confidence, with that sense of like, I know what I'm about. I know what you all did in your system, or but I did this, and I don't feel at all inferior about that. So yeah, that's one essential part of not shying away from these pressures and from these challenges. If you can step up for English language GCSE and maths GCSE, and see that like, wow, you can easily do that, home educating or otherwise, then you feel you just feel like a comparable, you don't have that sense of inferiority complex, basically, about how you've done things differently. Great. Yeah. And the main purpose, this real purpose in life, in some ways, that we're looking for, or that I would say we're looking for in our children, is to encourage them or show them how they can be of benefit to themselves and others in everything that they're doing. So a GCSE or an exam, a challenge like this, it can really be part of that, where they are just feeling that nourishment, feeling that benefit to themselves, which you can't really put your finger on. There aren't many students that have come into my program saying, I hate maths, or I hate English, or whatever it is. And then at the other end of it, they would say, I love English, I love maths, you know. But there is, I know they do, basically. I know that is the word. There is something like that going on there, where there's like a deep, deep nourishment and growth and sense of peace around harmonization, in a way, with this whole idea of academics, or a specific subject in the academic curriculum. And just, yeah, in a way, it's conquering that demon, just being at peace with that thing, doing it to the best of our capacity. And then luckily, time runs out. I mean, for all of my students, I've been working with one other student who's like such a go-getter. I've done my sessions with her at 7 a.m. twice a week for the last 3 months. And she's just the other end of the spectrum in some ways. You know, many that I work with aren't so motivated, and I love to work with those kind of students that don't fit the system. This particular girl is an absolute, yeah, she's a yeah, she's a wonder in her own way. But then for her, the lesson is more the other way, like, you know, seeing what it's like to just go completely extreme with the preparation, the worries, the anxiety, the overkill, and seeing that you can't control it. And you know, you just have to, again, you have to sort of surrender. There's a sweet surrender that comes with just the exams coming, sitting them, and then it's all over. And then, you know, whatever happens, happens, right? Nothing much you can do about it. And so, yeah, for her, it's been kind of the opposite. But yeah, I really wanted, and I hope I have managed to today, to speak up for the great goodness in these challenges. So we don't want to design a future. I mean, this is maybe something that I'm more interested in than all of you, but designing a future education system that's without this kind of stepping up, without this pressure, in a way, the good pressure of the mass, you know, the pack, um, doing work of whatever kind, and you feeling like, wow, I've got to keep up. That's good for us. You know, that's really good for us as well. That pushes us to really um, fulfill our potential in a great way. Like, I hate this idea of kind of fulfilling potential just so that we can, I don't know, build the economy or something. I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, really, you know, one student I've met recently, he's an incredible sprinter. Great. You know, he's 14. Like, he really is potentially going to run in the Olympics when he's older. He's an incredible sprinter, and with family kind of genes, that other relatives who've been at the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games. But, you know, for him, I want him to like realize his potential across the board. I don't want him to fence himself in as just like, hey, I'm a sprinter and I'm, you know, screw the academic work. I want him to know that he's got a brain as well, and that he can use it. And I want him to learn how to use it. I want him to see what he can do with maths, you know, with numeracy, with literacy. You know, these are things that they are a part of the world, and they're very likely to be a part of the world for the whole of his life. I don't know when literacy and numeracy will fall from the list of the top two things that everyone needs out of an education. I'm open to that, I must say, you know, especially with communication technology now, and texting and automation. And, you know, who's to say that we need literacy? But at the moment, literacy and numeracy, still, that's, you know, we go around the world reading things and needing to understand figures. So I want him to know that side of himself as well. So for me, this is a critical juncture for him. Age 14, falling out of the education system in a good way. It just doesn't suit him, so he needs something better. He's probably going to home educate. But I want him to know his power. I don't want him to just pull the trigger on that and just kind of bury that side of himself unresolved, unfulfilled, and with a negative relationship to it. No way. There's so much gold there for him to hang in there whilst he's young, and before he goes off into his athletics career, and realize his full potential, his real full potential, whatever that is, in terms of his capacity to sit down and learn, and to yeah, to enrich that part of his body and mind as well.